frustrating, you know. And so I'm going to talk about this. Why am I in the hospital here? Why am I in my little gown and have my little beard? This was February 2022. And in February 2022, I had about 2 feet of intestines taken out of my body.
Oh.
Thank you. It was intentional, don't worry. It wasn't an accident in the subway. It was on purpose. I had 2 feet taken out because I have Crohn's disease. And I've had Crohn's disease, which is a chronic inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract. I've had it since I was about 16. And I got 2 feet taken out because I have like a lot of inflammation and a lot of scarring. It's fun. And the surgeon, so they took it out basically so that I could have salads again. Which is really the least exciting reason to ever have surgery. So when the surgery was finished, the surgeon said it was successful, like we did great. You have 325 centimeters left of small intestine, which, like, that's, and 320 centimeters, that's about 10 feet. Which sounds like a lot. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it's actually, you all have a lot more than me. So you should all feel very good, so congratulations. So when it happened though, I felt like, oh my God, I'm like, 325, I feel like it's a shot clock. I feel like, okay, now we have this countdown to zero. Zero intestine. And it was funny, after the surgery ended, I got texts from people. And a friend texted me and she said, because she had her colon removed. And she's like, well, you know, I had the surgery went well, but the thing is, I could have my colon removed and still live. If you had your small intestine removed, you would die. I'm like, that's not how you talk to people. So I had that done, and so the surgery happened, and it was successful. So I was in the hospital. I was just like, okay, I need to get some rest. And this is during the pandemic, more so the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic, and it was during the pandemic, and where nobody could really visit me. So it was at nighttime. I was alone. I was like, okay, the best thing I can do right now is just get some rest. I need to rest my bowels, rest everything. I'm all scarred up, stitched up, and I go to sleep that night, and I sleep okay, and then I wake up and it's 4 a.m., and I'm extremely nauseous. And I don't know why. I assume it has something to do with their surgery, but I don't know. They didn't tell me anything. So I'm really nauseous, and I'm like, okay, I have a few things I can do here. So the first thing I do is I have a cup next to me that's New York Presbyterian Hospital cup that says, amazing things are happening here. That's which, in that moment, they weren't. So I take a sip from that cup, it's ice water, and I just take a sip, and I immediately feel more nauseous. So I'm like, okay, it's not getting better. So the next step is, maybe I should just get out of bed. They said, the good thing to do is you need to move your bowels. You need to walk around. So I'm like, let me try and do this. And it's really hard to get up, but I get myself, try to get up out of bed, and I stand up for a second, and then everything goes black, and I get dizzy, and I fall back into the bed. I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. So the third thing I need to do is I need to call for help. And I hate asking for help. When I'm in a cafe, I'm afraid to ask for Wi-Fi. Because I don't want to sound like an asshole. It's like, I don't want to enrage the barista. Because they're asked that question every single day. They're always asked, what's the Wi-Fi? And it's right there. So I don't want to ask for help, but I have to ask for help. So I have a call button next to my bed, and I start clicking it. And I click it, and nobody's coming. I'm like, is anybody there? Nobody's there. So nobody's there. So the best thing I can do is just get into a fetal position. And I get into a fetal position, it's the most comfortable thing I can do, and it's about 3 hours I'm in that position. Until around 7 a.m. when a nurse finally comes in and says, okay, I hear you, we can give you transdermal medication for your nausea. Transdermal is medication that's on the skin, and in my case, it's going to be behind my ear. Great. The only one I know in my life who also has transdermal medication behind his ear is Roger. And Roger is my girlfriend and I, that's our cat. He's a good guy. And he gets the medication every day behind his ear. And me and Roger, we were actually similar in a lot of ways. We both have had bowel obstruction. We both take Miralax for that food. Keeps us regular. And we both hate doctors. Roger tends to hiss and scratch at the doctors. I tend to just scratch. So me and Roger are the only ones who have this, and so I get the transdermal medication from the nurse, and it doesn't do anything. So right now my nausea is like at an 8. It's really, really getting worse and worse. And I'm like, okay, this needs to be solved because I really don't want to throw up because I just have all these stitches here, and doing that could compromise a lot of the surgery. So it's a little dangerous. So two more hours go by, and suddenly there's someone wheeled into the room in a hospital bed. And it's this very tall man who I learned is this 6'8" actor guy. And just to give you an image, I looked up 6'8" actor online, and the only one I could think of was Brad Garrett. From Everybody Loves Raymond. So just picture Brad Garrett. So Brad Garrett comes into the room, and he's wheeled in, and immediately he's in the room and he starts watching these crime shows. And he starts watching like CSI and all these shows about people dying, and I'm like, I just had my intestines, but I don't think we need to do this. But then I hear the doctors go up to him and they say, okay, we're going to do a skin graft on you, and we're going to take the skin from your arm and we're going to put it on your leg. And then I hear him say, wait, I thought you were going to do a pig skin. And they're like, no, that's not what we do. And then he's like, well, you got to do stem cells or something. And I'm thinking, this guy, I'm afraid to ask for Wi-Fi, and he's okay suggesting medical advice to doctors. So Brad Garrett's over there, and finally they bring in an X-ray technician for me to take X-rays to see what's going on. And they put an X-ray, a chest X-ray over me. And I noticed they don't put any protective gear on me. They do the X-ray, and I said, hey, in my nauseous state, I'm like, hey, isn't that dangerous? You didn't put anything over me? And the X-ray technician said, well, it won't be Chernobyl. I was like, that's not reassuring. So it's somewhere between not dangerous and Chernobyl. In between here, that's not good. So just the chest X-ray, he leaves. But now the nausea is like at a 10. And I'm like, this can't be like this anymore. So I'm trapped in my body. Something needs to happen. And so I messaged the nurse and I said, I'm gonna throw up. And she said, well, we really prefer patients don't throw up. I'm thinking, well, that's not my choice. I know it's not your preference, but this has to happen. So despite her wishes, I grab a pink basin that's there. And I'm looking down into the pink basin, and immediately I see it start to fill up with this, what looks like jet black oil. Just filling the basin up and up and up, and it keeps coming. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, it's out. Whatever that is out of my body. And I feel amazing. Like, that feeling after you throw up is one of the greatest feelings ever. It's gone. You're better. And the resident's standing there, this resident, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, hey, why is it black? And he's like, well, that's not black, that's actually dark green. And he's like, it's dark green because it's bile. And I don't know if you know this, but bile, we produce bile in our body after we eat or drink something, and it helps us with the digestive process. And he's like, essentially, when you get small bowel surgery, your bowels just get touched for a second and they get spooked and shut down. Sort of like how I am in any social situation. That happened, and he said, so nothing's moving, and the bile is just kind of sitting there. It's not moving along as it should, and that makes you incredibly nauseous. So I'm like, it's called ileus. So I'm like, okay, that's great, it's out, it's over. But then I see the resident start to lube up this very thick tube. I was like, why is he doing that? That's weird. Where's that going? And honestly, I would have rather it gone anywhere here. Would have been fine. Looped up tube, front and back, that's fine, I don't care. Because where it went was my nose. This is an NG tube, it's called. Maybe some of you know it's a nasal gastric tube that's meant to go up your nose. So think like a COVID test. It goes up your nose, and that's pretty far, but it goes much farther. It goes up your nose, down your throat, into your stomach. And it's meant to suck out the bile. Now, I didn't know this thing existed. It's a torture device. I didn't know this existed. And so he's like, all right, well, here, we gotta do it. We need to suck out the bile and make sure you're not throwing up like this. So I'm like, okay, accept my fate. And I'm sitting there, and he starts to insert it into my right nostril. It starts going up, and up, and up, and then crack. So he takes it out. And he doesn't tell me what happened. I'm like, did something just happen? Does the sinus just crack? He doesn't tell me. He doesn't say anything. He's like, well, I think we have to try the left nostril. God. So he goes to the left nostril, he goes up, 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 down my throat, and then as it passes your gag reflex, you immediately start throwing. It's very hard to do. So again, torture device. He takes it out, he says, it wasn't placed correctly, we have to do it again. So, can you please just get a good doctor here? And so he puts it again, he's like, all right, here we go. Up my nose, up, finally gets past the throat, into the stomach, and it's in. Yes, and the insertion is the worst part, but what they don't tell you also is that when the NG tube is actually in your body, it just sits in your throat and dangles. So it feels like you just ate something and it's just not going down. It's just sitting there. And so I'm saying I keep trying to swallow, and anytime you swallow, you just gag immediately. So it's just dangling, you're sitting there, and you're like, and here it is, by the way. Oh, there it is. That's the NG tube. Yeah. Of course, I had to take a picture of it. Very thick tube, right up my nose. They tape it on so it doesn't move, so it doesn't dangle too much. Amazing things are not happening. So I'm sitting in the bed, Brad Garrett's still watching his crime shows and like laughing and having a good time. Just reflecting on what just happened. And this is all so bad. And then a nurse comes in and says, we have to move you. And I'm just like, just leave me alone. You've done enough, just let me be. They're like, no, we have to move you. And so they take my bed and they wheel it. They wheel it out of the room. And they wheel it up into the elevator. They wheel it up 5 floors in the elevator. 5 floors up. And the elevator doors open, and suddenly I'm on this floor that I've never seen before in any hospital. It's like majestic. It's immaculate, this floor. It's like, it seems very clean. Everyone seems really nice. Everyone's really calm. There's beautiful views of the city. I'm like, is this a hotel? Because it feels like a hotel. It's actually the Greenberg wing of New York Presbyterian, which is advertised like a hotel. 6 standard suites, river, 3 junior suites, all this stuff. As Jess was saying, being wealthy has its perks. And they have personal chefs. Everything's amazing about this. I didn't even know this existed before. It's phenomenal. So they bring me into my room now, and it's my own room. And it's a gigantic room that's probably bigger than my apartment, which makes me wonder, was it for rent? I look out and there's a beautiful view of the skyline in my room. There's a TV at my own bed. There's a bed. There's my own bathroom. And there's a little section where there's like a living room section where you can entertain people. You're not letting visitors come in. So, and then my cousin comes in and works in New York Presbyterian, and he says, you know these rooms cost like $10,000 a night. So I got a little nauseous again. I was like, okay, this is bad. But I checked with the nurse, and she's like, no, they won't charge you because the surgeon puts her patients here for free. And I was like, okay, maybe amazing things. Okay. Thank you very much.